Hello and welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. This is a channel focused on the ideas of Barry Harris, and there are a lot of episodes. So if this is the first time you've come here to check things out, I recommend going to the first episodes and reviewing some of the core concepts. There are PDFs and even an app available. So what we're looking at today is I'm revisiting once again the final 8 bars of Stella by Starlight with the series of minor 2/5s and looking at making long lines throughout that section. So just to review, we're starting with E minor 7 flat 5 to A7 to D minor 7 flat 5 to G7 to C minor 7 flat 5 to F7 to B flat major. But of course, as Barry people, we are going to think of E minor 7 flat 5 as G minor 6, which allows us to move it through the scale of chords, the G minor 6 diminished scale of chords. And then on A7, I'm going to commit to the tritones minor, which is the minor 6 diminished scale, a half step up from your dominant. And so then I would go from G minor 6 to B flat minor 6 for A7, to F minor 6, which is the same thing as D minor 7 flat 5, to A flat minor 6, to C minor 6, to G flat minor 6, to B flat major. That's what we're doing. But then I'm making lines that sound like this. So it's like, first I'll do it with only drop 2 voicings, but then I'm going to do it with shells, which is going to be more interesting actually. But I'm doing long lines that just descend from top to bottom throughout that whole sequence. So it goes like this. So something like this. And then what is that's got to be. But you get the idea. So if I were to just play the chords of that, and I don't do the drop 2s in sequence like that much anymore. I do a lot of smaller things because I like it more. And one advantage is, if I wanted to do that but start from a lower place, I really can't do that much without running out of space down here. Say I could start at this voicing of G minor 6, whoops, and then that would bring me to, yeah, and then I'm already out of range, so that's about as low as I can go with drop 2s. But with with shell voicings, which are smaller, I could do many sequences lower. So that would be. That was the original, but I could start from here, I could start from here, I could start from here, I could even start this low. I'll do this one. This is G minor 6 with the 3rd in the bass, just a little shell voicing, which I've talked about before a lot. You can consider, check out the elevator sequence episode. I think that's episode 16 in the main series, and the PDF involved, and that talks about shells quite a lot. So I'm going to go, and then it's going to be, well, I should be done, and then it's going to be, so that was starting way down here. So I'd have all these options. Any of those would do. You know, G minor 6. Darn it, that would be G minor 6 here. That's it, and then F. So those are all just really malleable. And my goal is in my practice, this is kind of a thing I like to do. I like to pick these kind of abstract ideas that are musical. So in this case, just making a line that starts from the top and goes down to the bottom. And now I'm going to start from the bottom and go up to the top. And let's see how that works. So that would be, so all of these are shell voicings, which I've talked about a bunch. I'm just showing the kind of facility of them. So starting from the bottom, let's see, I'll start like maybe around here. So, and then da 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 da, and then what is it? Da 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 da, da 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 da. Right. So that's nice. Just moving up with the line. I'm just thinking how fun it is to do this kind of thing. What else is there? So I went from top to bottom, from bottom to top, and any place would do. I could do, right? I could do it from there, and then what would it be after the? And then this would have to be. Now see, sometimes I get stumped, and A flat minor 6. And then it's got a da 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 da. And then what was it? Yeah, so practicing starting from any place is really cool. That one's a little stumped me a bit. But now another thing to do, and this is more advanced. These are good challenges. All those shell voicings, you can find a lot of them by just thinking the top or the bottom end of a drop 2. So when I did this original, well, I could just take the top notes of that. But eventually, I really need to start seeing just these as little chords on their own, and so that I can see the high and the low shell, meaning that I have 4 notes that I'm thinking of in my mind, but I'm leaving out one of these middle voices, and that's the way I think of it. So I'm thinking in kind of musical terms, but then applying it to my hands. Okay, so now what I want to do, another thing I like to do is pivots. And I've talked about this before. I have an episode called Pivoting Through the Looking Glass. And that's where, just like with this kind of pivot idea, where we go, and then, so I take a 4-note chord in a scale, in that case D dominant 7th, and I take the 3 of the notes, put them down an octave, and that's what we call a pivot. In this case, I'm taking a line that I'm moving throughout the scale of chords, and I'm taking one of the voices, the top or the bottom, and making it move down or up an octave, which is extending the pivot idea. So let's see if I can do one. I'll go maybe make my voices go inwards, and then I'll have one of them, I'll have the top voice jump up. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think, in my mind, I've memorized that if I'm about to play in the elevator sequence, which goes from unison to third, so, let's see, unison to third, to triad, to shell chord, right? And then to, and then to octave, drop 2, drop 3, drop 2 and 4. So I'm just grabbing from an arbitrary place, and I have a document about that. So if I want to pivot, I have to memorize that if I'm about to play in my sequence of things moving out or in, if I'm about to play a third, I'm going to replace it with a drop 2. If I'm about to play a triad, I'm going to replace it with a drop 3. If I'm about to play a shell chord, I'm going to replace it with the drop 2 and 4, and vice versa. So these are connected together. Drop 2 and 4 is connected to the shell. Drop 3 is connected to the triad. Drop 2 is connected to the third. So let me show you. So I'm going to go. Now I have an octave chord. So with a borrowing is the way I treat it. This melody. And then now I'm going to go. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here is I'm going. This is advanced a bit, but here's my octave chord. I go into a shell. I'm thinking of my bass ascending upwards to a triad. My bass is going to continue to go upwards. But instead of a third, I'm going to play a drop 2. And then I'm going to go inward from there to an octave, to a shell, which is really pretty. So da da, so da da. Now I'm on a drop 3 is where I ended up. So I'm going to go inward from a drop 3 a bit. So drop 3, drop 2, and then so da da da. Now my next thing after this octave would be the shell chord, but instead I'm going to do drop 2 and 4, and then I have to do so. Which is pretty. And now another drop 3. So drop 3 inward to a drop 2 to an octave. And then same type of thing. Which is really pretty. And what I'm doing on all of those is I'm starting out I'm extending the idea of the 2 chord, and then just at the last minute, I'm doing the 5 chord. So I'll do that one more time. And then what is it? That's what it has to be. Oh, so. Pretty stuff, and then maybe I'll do one expanding and then be done with it, just as an idea. These are more advanced, but really that's the concept, is just if you're going to play a third, play a drop 2 instead. If you're going to play a shell, play a drop 2 and 4 instead. If you're going to play a triad, play a drop 3 instead, and vice versa. So I'll go outward now. So I'll go so I'm thinking shell, and then I'm going to go so there I just played the tritones minor right at the end. I went the whole way was G minor 6, and the last minute I played B flat minor 6. So I'll do that again. No, that was wrong. And then the next is F minor 6, and I will do that here. So, like this. That's pretty. And then on all of those, I'm hitting the tritones minor right at the end. So, that is, and again, I'll just narrate the first one of those. So that is shell, octave, drop 2, triad instead of drop 3. G minor 6 moves to B flat minor 6, you see? And then it goes on from there. Stuff. And I'm kind of changing it up. I started out with a root position G minor. Could have been like this. Really pretty stuff. But anyway, so that's what I did, was I took lines going from the top, moving down to the bottom, from the bottom up to the top, and then I did some pivoting with voices going outwards, pivoting with voices going in. When I had the voices go out, I had the top voice jump up. Sorry, when I had the voices go in, I had the top voice jump up an octave, and the bottom voice kept moving up. when I had the voices going out, I had the bottom voice jump up an octave, which is nice. Ba da da, and then the bottom voice jumps up and then continues downward. Anyway, those are some ideas. I have been gone away for a bit. I've been on a little bit of a vacation, but I'm back now, and we'll be sharing more with you guys. I hope this has been fun and inspiring. And join me on Patreon if you'd like, and check out the app if you feel like it. I'll be following up with more soon. Thanks everybody, and keep practicing. Take care.